the focal point of world motocross is right here in the northeastern United States. This is the Budds Creek Circuit in Maryland, and it is the scene of the 1994 United States 250cc Grand Prix. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. The World Championship chase comes to America. 1983, Unadilla, New York. David Bailey won the 250 GP. Had so much fun, he came back 2 years later at Carlsbad, California, and won the 500. What does it mean to a motocross racer to win a World Championship round?
Well, it's just nice. It's a whole different kind of a race, and it's a Grand Prix. You know, it kind of sounds neat to have won it. Later in your, in your career, or at the end of your career, it's nice to have won them.
The tide has turned in motocross. Back in your era, the Americans were still struggling sometimes to beat the Europeans. That's all turned around now. The European guys coming here today have a whole different agenda from the American riders.
Well, it's a whole series that they have to deal with, and the American riders are just out for this one race. So if they blow it, you know, it's no real big deal. These guys have, the Europeans, they have points to think about, and as much as they want to show that they can beat the Americans and put in a good performance, they have to think about the long haul.
Because the long haul leads to the World Championship, and to find out how that battle has shaped up coming into Budds Creek, let's go back and review the recent rounds.
We'll pick up the action in round 8. That number 1 plate belongs to the world champion, and there he is, Greg Albertine. Nice ponytail. South African kid who is working on his second championship on the Suzuki. He's got a great start here at the British round of the GP. Motocross a very big deal over here, big crowds. How about the racetracks?
Oh, the racetracks are very difficult. They're very hard packed, as you can see right there, and a lot faster.
Albertine taking the first moto victory in England, but the star of this show would not in fact be the world champion. It is this guy, the emerging 250 force, Yves Demaria, as he is pursued across the finish line by Kurt Nicole, and then Albertine finishing third. And the net result of that is that Demaria claims the overall victory, trying to climb up into contention for the championship currently being contested by Greg Albertine and his primary rival, Stefan Everts. We go to round 9. I want you to watch center screen as they go to the Czech Republic. Big tumble right there for Donnie Schmidt, the American.
That's bad news. I mean, hopefully he's not hurt. He's definitely going to have a lot of catching up to do for this moto. You want to be on the inside of those corners and let your problems happen away from you.
Former world champion. Number 77 now is Demaria. Never mind the arithmetic. Take my word for it. The Frenchman with the long hair, as we said, on a roll, leading here as Albertine comes up to put the block pass on another American, number 8, Talon Boland. Albertine at this point had begun to, I think, sense that perhaps this Demaria guy is somebody I'm going to have to deal with. He wins another moto. We go to the second moto in Czech Republic, and once again trouble in turn 1.
Well, there it is again. As you can see, those riders on the inside were able to escape this, and the riders on the outside get stuck in this big pileup. Lose a lot of time.
Time for us to talk about number 2. That is Stefan Everts, the Belgian kid here leading Demaria. He is the son of the world champion, former world champion, and he takes the second moto victory here in the Czech Republic. He is the man that Albertine has to beat for the championship, but he's got problems ahead. We go to round 10 in Sweden. Keep an eye on number 75. That is Joachim Karlsson. He is the teammate of Stefan Everts, and he's running right in front of number 1, the champion, Greg Albertine, as Everts lurks back there in contention. They come down toward the finish, and off goes Karlsson, and right over the top goes Albertine, and right past to the moto victory goes Everts. And you're sitting there thinking, I thought Despain said this guy was going to have trouble. There's certainly no problem here. What this does is moves him right into contention for the World Championship. But they go to the next race in Finland. Everts crashes in practice, breaks his collarbone, and sits out what may be the deciding race for the championship. In the racetrack action at Heinola, well, we had Demaria and Albertine all chasing a new face that you'll see for the first time. Marnik Bervoets is number 5, and he took the checkered flag with the victory. Albertine struggled a bit in the first moto as he settled for a 5th place finish. We come back with moto number 2, and guess who? Number 77, Demaria, with a solid 3rd place finish, will claim the overall. There is the pass by Donnie Schmidt on Werner de Witt of Belgium. But the moto victory and maximum points go to Greg Albertine, the final round before they came to America. and a total of 319 World Championship points for the man who would be champion 2 years in a row. Everts will make his comeback here at the USGP, and a remarkable comeback it is, 30 points behind Greg Albertine. Pondering today's activity and trying to figure out how he's going to maintain that lead and hang on to the #1 plate. The riders are at the starting gate for the first of 2 World Championship point-paying motos here at Budds Creek, Maryland. This tough guy with the bare forearms is the world champion. That's Albertine. Here's Stefan Everts preparing for action. Third member of our telecast team, Art Ekman, with more on this international gathering.
The one huge difference these riders face that the riders here in America on the national circuit don't have to is travel. These guys go 40,000 kilometers in Europe before they come to the United States. Then they go to Latin America. Then they go back to Europe. Then they go to Japan. And then they finish the season back in Europe.
It is difficult, you know, the different currencies, the languages, the borders, the control they have over there.
When we travel to America and Venezuela like that, it's really tough on all of us because the jet lag.
You know, you think it's a big chore to catch an hour-and-a-half flight from Michigan to here, but you know, when they get on a plane and travel, how many hours? You know, 10 to 12 hours, however, wherever they were last, and then get adjusted to the time and the food.
Along with the worldwide travel, the international crews also have the challenge of trying to understand each other.
金曜日、土曜日と雨は降りましたけれども。
Dingen heeft ook 213 gekregen.
Tu as réglé la compression et la détente de la fourche.
Hello, my name is Monica and I come from Sweden and I don't speak Finnish.
And I'm Anu and I come from Finland and I don't speak Swedish.
So we have to speak English
together.
Everybody ends up trying to jump to English, and in between then is always the, you've got a lot of hand signals going on.
When English and sign language fail, there's always getting down in the dirt.
Internationally, and if I can't talk to the guy, I draw a graph. And I might not even draw it on paper, I might draw it in the dirt. And if we need to change front fork settings, we need a little more compression on the bottom or the top, or a little more curve in it, I just draw it out on the ground, show him on the curve, and whether he's Japanese, French, or Spanish, or American, he understands the graph.
Throwing a hat down is the same in any language.
Now back to the 2 guys who hopefully are speaking the same language.
I think that's us he's talking about, Bailey. Dave Despade and David Bailey, former GP winner here, as Werner DeWitt saddles up for the first of 2 point-paying motos on a twisty, turny Budds Creek racetrack.
Well, we've seen it already once this year. There's a lot of jumps. There's some shade. There's some fast stuff, uphills and downhills. These guys are going to be busy out there today.
As we prepare for the drop of the gate, start is always critical in international motocross competition, and the start here is unique. A real uphill charge, and up and over the crest, it looks like the whole shot will belong to Jeff Emig, but we've got trouble in turn 1. A big tangle. Jeff Stanton is among those involved. Kevin Krein and Todd DeHoop also in it. A good start for number 64. That's John Dowd. The Yamahas run 1-2. DeMaria and Bervoets both have good starts. They're out 3rd and 4th. Let's go back and take a look at what happened. I want to stop this and look here. A photographer standing on the racetrack when the field come through. Obviously a major problem for the front runners. You won't see exactly what happened, but from a trackside home video camera, we do get a sense of what happened to Jeff Stanton.
Well, I think what's happening here is that's a big surprise to anybody as they crest that hill and see someone standing in the middle of the track, and obviously it caused a little bit of a traffic jam in the first corner on the inside. And as you see Stanton right here, the bike just gets away from him. I think his concentration was thrown off by that mess, and here he's got to remount way at the back of the pack. He's got a lot of work to do now.
Virtually everyone will have passed the former American champion by the time he gets going again. So out front, Emig, clear of all that trouble, has clear sailing indeed, and has only his teammate to contend with for the moment. The international stars get tangled up at the top of the hill, and a couple of Americans run 1-2 in the early going here at the United States Grand Prix, off to a bit of a rough start, unless, of course, you are Jeff Emig, riding outdoors for the first time in his pro career on a 250 and doing pretty well at that. He talked about that before the race.
You know, for me to go fast on a 250, I have to be, you know, comfortable, you know, and it's doubtful that you'll see, you know, like an out-of-control type ride from me, but, you know, but I do think that I can run the speed, and, you know, and you know, when I was an amateur and stuff, and I rode the 250 class, I always did real well. And, you know, so maybe, you know, some of my finesse on the outdoor tracks, maybe that'll help me out here.
Well, something certainly helped him out so far. He's your leader. This is the battle for third, and look who's in it. Number 2 is Stefan Everts, and that is remarkable. Just a couple of weeks after breaking his collarbone, he's got a 6-inch titanium pin holding his upper body together, but number 2 with an opportunity here to collect championship points and close in on world championship leader Greg Albertine, is running a solid 4th. That's pretty impressive. He's still got to be hurting.
Oh, it's definitely got to hurt. I never, fortunately, broke my collarbone, but I mean, there's so much strength that it takes to ride the bike, and more than strength is the flexibility.
Let's go to Art Ackman. He's standing by with Brian Berry, John Dowd's mechanic.
A brilliant start, but he's got the Frenchman on his tail.
Yeah, I don't think he knows who he has on his tail. He doesn't know who any of these guys are, so maybe that's a good thing. You know, if he doesn't know who they are, maybe he'll just keep going straight and chasing Emmett because he knows Emmett. So.
Well, with a 30-minute moto, it's going to take a lot of endurance in this humidity.
Yeah, he's been training pretty hard, though. I think it'll help him. I don't know what kind of shape those guys are in. I don't know how Jeff's going to do on a 250. There's a lot of factors right now that could help out John, or maybe won't be to his advantage, but hopefully they will.
Well, getting dialed in even more on that new bike certainly helps.
Yeah, we're looking forward to next weekend a lot.
The point there, I think, being that not only are the Europeans worried about next week in the World Championship, but the Americans like John Dowd here, number 64, are worried about the National Championship, which is what they receive their big bonus checks for.
Right, looks like it's going to be Millville, and John Dowd's opportunity to get on that factory bike and go out there and show what he can do.
Pretty good battle going on here between Bervoets on the Johnson BFA Suzuki and his pursuer on the Kawasaki, Stefan Everts. Budds Creek, Maryland, the USGP Motocross, John Dowd circulating in second spot behind his teammate Jeff Emig, who has built a big lead. Marnique Bervoets continues to run in third spot, pursued by Stefan Everts, the man who is trying here to pull out a world championship, racing with a broken collarbone just 2 weeks after that fracture, and I find that pretty remarkable.
That's amazing. The kind of athletes that these guys are. I mean, the ability to have so much strength to do what they're doing, and then to be able to do it while injured. I mean, like I said, I didn't break my collarbone. I have no idea how bad that feels, but I've ridden injured, and it's on your mind the whole time. It hurts so bad.
I've never had a broken bone that didn't hurt. I have to believe this one does. Here we go back and show the taping job that's been done, and now you're going to really love this. Take a look at the x-rays. Again, 2 weeks ago in Finland, she suffered this fracture.
Ouch.
Well, my first thoughts, what I had after the crash, I felt moving it, so I thought right away something was broken. Yeah, and first of all I was thinking I'm gonna lose my championship. That was for me most important, and it was pretty hard hit for me because I had some bad luck during the year, and a lot of things happened, and I was back in good physical shape, and I won the last GP in Sweden. I was going so good, and yeah, then this happened, so that was a pretty hard hit for me.
And the keys to the quick comeback: a well-placed 6-inch titanium pin, high-tech treatment techniques, and the experience of Willie Linden.
I've been for many years with my trainer, and we know each other very good on training and also about injuries. I flew him over because he's a very good taper. He can put the bandage very good, and also, yeah, he knows a lot of things, and it's always good to have people around you who you trust and everything. So that's why I bring him over, because it's very important, this championship, for me and also for Kawasaki and all the sponsors. And I'm gonna put all the effort I've got into it to win still this championship.
Never give up. That is the sign of a champion. And today, Everts has two things working for him: his own courageous performance and the lousy start for the reigning world champ, Greg Albertine. 10th at the end of the first lap and going backwards. Here is the guy, Werner de Witt, who hit the photographer at the top of the hill. That was the trigger for the big turn one pileup that dropped Jeff Stanton to the back of this pack. And de Witt has more problems. And now look at Everts. He's on the move, collarbone or no. He's out jumping Bervoets and taking over third spot. Pure heroics.
Well, there's some of that effort he just talked about. I mean, to pass the guy on a jump, I mean, you know, that's got to hurt. It's got to hurt just to ride around. Then he out jumps the guy and lands on the face of that hill, then goes off up in the air again into the corner, lands hard again. I think he can get away with it. He's one of the smoother riders out there on the track. Here's another look back. He reminds me a little bit of Jean-Michel Bayle. He's smoother, he's a little more clever. He tends to work really good with the bike, and that enables him probably to be able to get away with that pain. His body stays very still out there when he rides.
He has another similarity to Jean-Michel Bayle, the past AMA Supercross champ, and that is that he's coming to America. All indications are that both Albertine, the reigning world champ, and this man, number 2 in the world, Stefan Everts, will both race full-time in America. Albertine is definitely coming next year, and Everts, it appears, will probably wait until 1996. He still wants to win that 250 World Championship before he makes the move. He's closing in on John Dowd. Dowd can hear the footsteps, I think.
Oh, you bet. He's putting a lot of pressure on him right here. He's very close. If Dowd makes any mistake, Everts is by. Remember I said Everts is very clever. He chooses different lines in a lot of places, and I don't think you'll see him following too closely in the same line. He's looking for places to pass.
You see the crowd urging John Dowd on. It is very much a pro-American gathering here as we watch Bervoets and Everts, and they have closed right up to the rear wheel of John Dowd, the American who runs second. Emig is all alone out front. It is his race to win. The story in this one is Everts and his opportunity to close in. He lacked 30 points, a 30-point gap coming into this race in terms of catching the world champ Albertine and the championship point leader. However, he will take a big bite out of that lead right now. And here is an attempted pass on Dowd that came just a bit short. That was a high-risk maneuver.
Well, Dowd's a tough boy. You know, he's not going to just get out of the way. He's going to get in there and muscle it out. He doesn't have that much longer to go in this first moto, and if he can hold him off, that'd be a great performance.
One thing we have not talked a lot about is the oppressive heat and humidity here at Budds Creek. It is hot, and that is certainly going to take its toll too, particularly I would think on Everts, who hasn't had as much opportunity to train.
Well, it's difficult enough, I mean, as we talked about earlier, to ride with an injury.
But we have had a change in third spot, the ongoing battle between Marnique Bervoets, number 5, and Stefan Everts, number 2. And you see a bobble there by Everts. It was just such a bobble that allowed Bervoets to move back up into the third spot, and they continue to put the pressure on Dowd. Despite the occasional mistake, Everts holding on to a top 5 position, very valuable in terms of world championship points. I'm beginning to wonder if the issue here isn't whether John Dowd can hold on. Are these two international guys going to get around Dowd? Is he holding them up a little bit?
Well, you know, I think he looks like a little bit of a roadblock right here. I mean, these guys are swapping positions behind him, and they still can't get around. I wonder if they could, if they wouldn't just pull away. But, you know, still, that's racing. Dowd is doing a good job of holding him off. And, you know, a second-place finish, like I said before, would be a great performance, and it's going to look good for Team Yamaha.
And I don't see them putting a lot of pressure on him. It's not, they're certainly not, you know, nerfing him to try to get him out of the way. In fact, Bervoets, 4th in the world, a Belgian Suzuki rider, has had his hands pretty well full with Everts thus far. John Dowd doing a good job trying to make a 1-2 American sweep, and that would certainly please the American fans here. In terms of the championship, Bervoets is 15 back on Yves Demaria, who is 5th on the racetrack and in danger of losing some of the momentum that he's had coming into this event. He's won 2 in a row, but we haven't seen him among the front runners yet. Whole story is this battle right here for second spot.
Well, it's a great battle, but you know what? One thing we got to definitely bring up is the fact that Emig is gone. I mean, he is riding fantastic, and unfortunately, that's not the place to be to get coverage. You know, this is where the battle is, and he's going to be bummed when he sees this.
When you're leading the thing by 5 seconds, they never see you on TV. That's the nature of the business. You stay where the action is, and right now the action is for second spot as Everts continues to hang on in the heat, humidity, and the pain. And Marnique Bervoets hopes to relive the glory of Finland when he scored his first World Championship moto victory. Once you taste that win, once you know how to do it, then, boy, you start thinking, hey, I'd like to do that every week.
It becomes a little easier once you've done it once. You already have a clear picture in your mind of what it's like, and a lot of these guys visualize things before they actually happen. They think about the races, and if you've already won one, it's a little easier to have that picture in your mind of what it takes.
Bervoets is pulling away a bit from Everts at this moment and trying desperately to get around Dowd. Meanwhile, let's update the progress, if you can call it that, of Greg Albertine. He has climbed back to 10th place, which is where he started. He slipped back to 15th. the World Championship point leader, very much a non-story thus far today at Budds Creek, and he has to be devastated because he's healthy. I mean, he's here with an opportunity to open up the point lead over Everts, and instead Everts is running well in front of him, and Albertine is going nowhere. That's got to be pretty demoralizing.
Yes, it is. There was a time when I broke my wrist and came back to ride a race, and all I really wanted to do was get points, and everybody that was healthy had problems that day. Whether they crashed in the first turn, one guy got a flat tire. I ended up winning the event. So Everts is, you know, he's made a gamble here and tried to ride a race, make some points up, and it's really looking like it's paying off now.
He's doing a terrific job here as the GP stars come to America to try to do something with the Americans, who currently run 1-2. It's Emig and Dowd on the Yamahas up front, and we'll be back with the finish of the first moto.
The American Motorcyclist Association keeps the fun in motorcycling with benefits, activities, and by protecting your right to ride. For information, call 1-800-AMA-JOIN.
We're back at Budds Creek, Maryland. Jonathan Beasley bringing the U.S. Grand Prix to his beautiful Maryland circuit here, where the crowd have packed in to watch a pretty good battle here for 5th and 6th. Number 48, Steve Lamson, the American, under a lot of pressure from Yves Demaria, the Frenchman, who is on a roll. He's got 2 GP wins in a row coming in here, but he's had his hands full all day with Lamson. This battle's been going on lap after lap.
Well, it's getting later in the race, and you know, usually the Americans have the advantage in this kind of heat over the Europeans, and also Lamson did quite well here during the national championship round on the 125, so he's got this track pretty dialed in.
Demaria led Lamson for about half the race. Lamson passed him. Demaria has caught him back up and appears to be trying to make some sort of a late race move. He certainly is counting points. He comes here 3rd in the world and some 59 points behind Everts, but again, with Everts hurt, Demaria saw an opportunity to perhaps get up to 2nd place in the World Championship. If nothing else, he wants to maintain that momentum. Was that a wave to the crowd, or was he going for a tear-off there?
Yeah, I see him reaching up there. He didn't have enough time. He wanted to reach up. They have like what they call a roll-off, where they pull this string out, and it pulls a film across the goggle lens, like what you see in auto racing when they clear the camera vision. And hey, following that roost of Lamson so close like that, he's going to have to keep reaching for that to get clear vision.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing, too. He's been riding right in Lamson's roost for a good while. Now you see him trying some different lines, trying to make a pass, and he may have it right here. He takes the inside line. They're handlebar to handlebar over the jump. Lamson will out-jump him and have the inside line as they come to the left-hander at the top of the hill. Demaria squares it off. Pretty good battle for position.
Sure. Demaria right up the inside there. You know, when you square off one corner, just gives you the inside into the next one, and he just muscled his way right through there. Lamson was just riding a little bit too relaxed for that attack from Demaria.
Lamson left the door open just a crack. Demaria ran up there and shoved the front wheel in. Here it comes right here.
Yeah, Demaria had squared the corner off previous to this one, and it gave him the inside line here again, and Lamson just left enough room for him to squeeze through there. That was a nice, strong move by Demaria.
Kid's good. He's got Roger DeCoster as his coach. He rides the Pepsi-Cola Honda. DeCoster, of course, a legend in American motocross. One of the pioneers who brought the sport to America. One of the first winners in American GP competition. And now we see Jeff Emig en route to an easy moto victory. And I wonder, when that gate dropped, if he thought it was going to be such a piece of cake.
You don't know what to expect. This is his first GP. It's his first time on a 250 outdoors. I mean, there's a lot of firsts here for him today, and for it to have gone this smooth, he's got to be feeling good there on one of those drop waves. He waved at the crowd. I mean, he's just savoring this. There he waves again. He's got to feel great. I remember my first Grand Prix at Unadilla. I won the first moto. I didn't win the event, but it's still a very memorable event just from that one moto win.
We saw the shot of Steve Butler, Jeff's mechanic, a moment ago. He likes this event because he's not the only guy who talks funny this weekend. Steve is Australian and feels right at home here in this international gathering of motocross talent who are all playing second fiddle to his man, Jeff Emig, today. It's a terrific run for Yamaha as Emig puts the 250 out front. His focus in the National Championship Series is the 125 class. You see those races on the Deuce, ESPN2. Emig has won a couple of races, his 5th in the championship standings. He's a former 125 national champion. But right now, all he's hearing is the cheer of the American fans as they bring him toward the checkered flag. And I suppose he hasn't yet started to think about the regrouping that he's got to do in this heat in anticipation of the second
He's still savoring this victory right here. I mean, you can hear the fans. It's got to feel great. I remember when I won my first GP moto. It feels fantastic. And, you know, he didn't have to ride very hard. He had a good lead, and he's probably conserved a lot of energy going to this next moto.
A couple of things to point out. Bervoets passed Dowd for second spot. DeMaria rounds out the top 5. And Greg Albertine, the world champion, struggled to 10th. Let's go to Art Ekman with the winner.
Jeff, just the way you like it.
Yeah, you know, I got that whole shot there and made life a whole lot easier. You know, I don't wear no chest protector. I don't want to catch no roost. Only way to do that, you know, was to be right out front.
And you were able to endure it, too. It was a tough day to endure.
Well, I was riding real comfortable. When you're riding like that, you know, you don't really use up a whole lot of energy. And, you know, once again, man, the fans are just really great. You know, I see American flags and stuff everywhere. You know, and that just helps you, you know, just helps you give that little extra. Thanks.
Second spot in the moto goes to Marnik Bervoets, and he thus gains ground on Yves DeMaria in the championship.
Tough and very humid out there for a race of 30 minutes long.
Yeah, we're not used to it. In Europe it's not so humid, but it's okay. I'm physically okay and riding good, so I'm happy.
Marnik, what about the move that you made to go into second?
Yeah, I need to have, he was slowing down a little bit. I thought I have to take him because the other guys were coming. And I have to take him, and I did one good line, and I catch him, and it was okay.
Any adjustments for second moto on the bike?
I hope I can beat Emick, and then I'm happy.
All right, congratulations, Marnik Bervoets. Just 2 years ago, Minnesota's Donnie Schmidt was on top of the world, the reigning world champion in the 250 class. Here's a shot that says it all. Schmidt kind of has to take care of his own motorcycle here today. There's a lot of dissension in his team, and he's on his way out the door. In fact, he is coming back to round out his career, he hopes, by racing in America.
Well, my future is I will no longer race in Europe next year. I think you guys are the first ones to know that. I haven't told anyone except for my family and everything. I've had a good career in Europe, but it's time for me to come home, and I'm seeking other possibilities for work. And also, I would like to have the opportunity to ride just nationals in America one more year. I haven't spoke with anybody yet, but if a deal comes my way and it looks promising for me and good, I'll take it. And if not, then I'll retire and look back at my career as being very a good career. You know, I've had a long one and not many injuries and made a little bit of money, and you know, I quit with a smile on my face, and yeah, I'd be happy.
Donnie Schmidt has done his country proud in Europe and looks forward to one more year in America as we prepare for the start of the second moto. A little different countdown board procedure than in the American races, and this is a lot different than in the American races. In the American races, you have to wait till the gate drops, but in this case, a couple of guys have jumped it, and actually Talon Boland turned that into the lead. I wonder if they're going to let this live.
Well, I don't know. I think that if you were one of the riders that started next to one of those guys and saw that happen, you got to be wondering if they're going to red flag this race or not. That was, I mean, they were clean out of the gate before it went down.
Kurt Nicole was number 4. He's certainly hoping that they're going to restart this race because he got hung up at the top of the hill there. There is Voland running out front. Albertine, number 1, has a much better start this time. DeMaria is in 3rd spot, and it looks like Werner DeWitt running 4th. But I have a feeling they're going to drop the red flag on this one, and the riders have not gotten that word yet. They simply will not allow that start, I don't think, to live.
Here's another look at the start and what happened. You see those couple of guys jump out over the gate. Voland gets out and turns it into the hole shot. You know, those gates are impossible, Dave, to jump over. That gate's got to be running a little bit low. Otherwise, they'd be hung up in there.
The red flag indeed will come out, and we will see a complete restart of the second moto of this World Championship battle here at Budds Creek, Maryland. So Voland's hole shot is all for naught. Patriotism very much in fashion at the USGP. With more on this start controversy, here's Art Ekman.
6 inches of rain in 3 days have made the gates lower. The riders almost create a ramp to take off. 3 riders jumped the gate anticipating this start. It took a half lap for the politics to clear. Arguments followed in 4 languages. No penalties as we're ready to go for the second moto.
Gate is down, and up the hill they go, and Art Ekman gets thoroughly roosted by none other than the world champion. Bit of a tangle at the top of the hill, and involved in that is Marnik Bervoets, and he's not happy. The other guy, Michele Fontan, was one of those who jumped the gate on the first start. Here is Albertine out front, and in hot pursuit comes number 8, Talon Boland, who had the whole shot the first time out. Andrea Bartolini is number 79 of Italy. Look quick, because he probably won't stay up there very long. Jeff Stanton has a good start. He is 4th. And riding in 5th spot is number 2, Stefan Everts. Everts with another great opportunity here as the traffic jam continues in the back. You don't want to be back there. You want to be up here with Albertine.
Yeah, so you can see it's a big advantage to get out there in the top 5 or 10 and eliminate those tight corners in the beginning. Just create a traffic jam and lets the leaders get so far ahead in just one lap.
Stanton made a terrific move on Boland, tried to move him out of the way. Boland stood his ground, holds on to 2nd spot, but Jeff Stanton, involved in that first turn tangle in the first moto, is up to 3rd. Greg Albertine, the world champ, finds his form in moto number 2 and has a terrific start. He struggled in that first moto. I love the bare forearms. You know, it reminds me of the tough guys of old.
Yeah, I'm getting a kick out of these short sleeves. You know, a lot of guys started doing that because they didn't like the cuff so tight on their forearm. And a lot of these guys, you hear them talk about arm pump. And just to try to, you know, alleviate any of that, they just loosen up the sleeves and finally just cut them off.
Albertine says, hey, it works great. Real men don't need sleeves. He leads the World Championship and leads the second moto. He lost a lot of points to his championship challenger, Stefan Everts, in that first moto. In Moto 2, run him down. It's Albertine and then Boland. There is Stanton. Here comes Everts in 4th. Bertolini holds on to the 5th spot, and then came number 48. That was Steve Lamson with a good solid 6th place. Here's DeMaria trying to catch up. He ran 5th in the first moto, but he has not gotten a great start. And you also see number 64, John Dowd, not having as much success in moto number 2 as he did in moto number 1. It's important, I think, to point out that it's 2 separate races here, and each, whoa, wait a minute, we've got a problem for Albertine. Greg Albertine was stopped at the apex of that corner and has fallen from 1st to 8th on the racetrack. A terrible break for the World Championship point leader. Albertine apparently ran it in there and killed the engine, and by the time he got it cranked up, half the field had gone by.
Well, here's going to be another look at it. He's already stalled in the berm. I think you're right, Dave. He just got in there and a little too hot, possibly a gear high, and stalled it. And boy, you know, early in the race when you make these mistakes, everybody's still bunched up like that. You drop a lot of positions.
And check this out. Talon Boland, the American, now living and racing in Europe, will take the lead. And behind him, number 2, Stefan Everts, has got to be saying, way cool. I love this. The man he has to beat for the championship has dropped 5 positions behind him on the racetrack. Boland under a lot of pressure from Jeff Stanton. Stanton took a shot at him earlier when they were racing for 2nd and 3rd. I'll bet he'll take another shot for the lead.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure on him right now, trying different lines and make Talon a little bit nervous. And, you know, it's an opportunity for him to prove what he can do out here. I mean, the first moto was a disaster for him right off the bat, and you know, since this race doesn't count for a whole lot other than just the race itself, it's not such a big deal that he had a poor first moto performance. If he can win the second moto, it'll salvage something for him for the day.
And again, we should make the point that it is 2 separate races, each paying points for the World Championship. The guy who scores the most points wins the overall, but the overall is secondary to the world title points.
Definitely, and you know, Stanton's got a lot of company here from Everts. Everts is pushing him pretty hard, and I don't know, Stanton must have just made a little bobble there. What he's got to do is focus on the leader, though, not worry about Stefan, and keep moving forward.
Jeff Stanton won the 250 USGP 3 years running at Unadilla Valley Sports Center in upstate New York. The race moved here last year, and Stefan Everts, number 2, was the champion of that event. So the men who have won the last 4 GPs in America currently race for 2nd and 3rd behind Talon Boland, who has opened up a bit of gap on those 2, and I don't think Jeff Stanton's paying attention to your advice. I think he's racing the guy behind him instead of the guy in front of him.
Well, that's the problem. He's having to be more defensive now, and these guys are racing each other, and it's allowing Boland to get away.
Jeff Stanton, ooh, bobble right there, missed the berm, jumped over to the second berm, and by on the inside goes Everts. Stefan Everts continues his incredible performance.
Well, as Jeff comes into the corner right here, everything's looking good. He goes for the inside rut. And looks like he just gets on the gas a little early. It stands the bike up, and he's not leaned into the corner still, and he overshoots the rut, and Stefan rides right by.
An easy pass for Everts, an opportunity to collect another handful of World Championship points. Meanwhile, up front, Talon Boland continues to lead the race, much to the delight of Guido Becchius, who's standing by with Art Ekman.
Talon's running a wonderful race out there.
Yeah, I hope so. He thinks he's excited because he's riding US, so he want to win in front of this crowd, you know. And I think we have some good opportunity to win today. I hope so.
I noticed his pit board was reminding him of the extra bucks.
Yeah, I think he can help him to win today, you know. Maybe we can grow a little bit up the money, so we'll be sure he will win today.
A lot of smiles in the Boland camp, and I would think the Albertine advocates are pretty happy with what's going on as well. Number 1 has moved to 4th, having slipped to 8th after that early race miscue. He is all over Jeff Stanton, and in exactly the same spot where Everts got around Stanton, here comes the world champion. He cannot afford to let Everts lead him in this second moto. He needs to be in front of Everts to collect the points.
Yeah, all the points you can possibly get. I mean, you know, I've won championships by 2 points, 1 point, 3 points. I mean, that's what it can come down to. He needs all that he can get. And I'm really surprised at Stanton. It looked like he just let him by. And maybe he doesn't want to get involved in a battle that doesn't really have anything to do with him or not. I don't know, but he just definitely dropped off the pace.
Back at the U.S. Grand Prix, and once again, Jeff Stanton is under attack, and this time the attacker is Werner de Wit, as the Belgian rider on the Suzuki comes up along the outside. Stanton's in big trouble here.
You know, something's got to be wrong with Jeff. Perhaps he just wishes he was already retired at this point. You know, he looked over and let him by. He maybe doesn't want to interfere with these Europeans right now since he had such a poor performance in the first motor.
He can't win the overall based on being involved in that turn 1 tangle in Moto number 1. So indeed, perhaps stay out of the way, let the guys that are battling for the World Championship do their thing. There's simply no response here from Stanton.
Watch right here. You'll see him look over. He looked over already a couple of times as if to say, go ahead. You know, I'm not going to interfere with you.
And de Wit says, well, I'll take that position. Thank you very much, because I need all the points I can get. Meanwhile, look at this. This is the battle for the World Championship. Second and third on the racetrack. Number 2, Stefan Everts, and number 1, Greg Albertine. Everts clipped 7 points off Albertine's lead in the first moto when Greg got a bad start, and Everts turned in a heroic performance. Now in the second moto, Albertine needs to get around him and reassert his authority, because again, Everts is the guy who's hurt. Albertine's at full strength. Albertine on paper should be stronger.
Well, in theory, yeah, and he also caught him pretty quick. Remember, Albertine was all the way back around 8th place, and you know, having crashed in this kind of heat and humidity and picking your bike up and getting it going again, that takes a lot of energy out of you. So he's definitely looking strong right here, and it looks like he's going to pass him eventually.
These guys are both being caught by Werner de Wit, who has just worked around Stanton. Side by side for a moment. Albertine wants to make the pass. He knows that this could be for the championship. Up front, Boland is your leader. We should mention that Jeff Emig, the first moto winner, got a terrible start. He was 22nd at the end of the first lap, and we'll be lucky to see him moving into any kind of contention. Now you see some crowd along the sideline, some crowd reaction to this World Championship battle. A lot of people cheering Everts on. He gained some fans in that first moto.
Well, anybody likes to cheer for the underdog, and when they hear a guy's riding with that kind of an injury, I mean, they tend to want to pull for him. Oh, big mistake there by Albertine. He goes over the berm, loses a lot of time.
He is backing up rather dramatically, and I'm beginning to wonder if there's something wrong with that motorcycle. He was within a bike length of Everts just a few turns back, and now there's a big gap between the two, and I don't think we can attribute all of that to the obvious mistake by Albertine. Perhaps something mechanical has gone wrong with the world champion, and boy, that would be fitting. It's been that kind of day here in the heat and humidity of Maryland. See, Albertine's not there yet. de Wit has passed him. Here's DeMaria around him. The world champion is in trouble at Budds Creek. He's limping over the jump. about went over the handlebars. I think that thing is trying to die on him.
Yeah, when he landed off the jump there, there was nothing left. I mean, the bike just basically quit. He almost went over the handlebars, and you can see he's riding really slow, and he's probably going to pull in and see if they can get that thing fixed and get back out there and get some valuable points.
You get a glimpse of your leader, number 8, Boland. He is under attack now. Everts turned up the wick trying to get away from Albertine, and as a result has reeled in the leader, Boland. What a storybook day this could be for Everts. If he can win this second moto and Albertine go to the sidelines, you've got a brand new battle for the World Championship. And he came in here trailing by 30. In his wildest dreams, I don't think Everett thought this could happen today.
No, he just said he was going to give all of the effort he possibly could, and you know, he was probably just hoping to be up front and just collect some points. And here he is looking at a chance to possibly win the second moto.
You said it earlier today when you had the broken wrist and went to the event. You go there, you get what you can get. You never know if it's going to all fall your way, and that's what's happened today. Here is Albertine, and he has stopped at the pit area for repairs on what is obviously an ill motorcycle and an ill-tempered world champion looking down on a great deal to discuss. The Everts camp can't believe their good fortune. Art Ekman is standing by. Let's see if we can find out more about what's happening with the Johnson Suzuki.
Greg, what indication did it give you?
Well, the bike just died. It feels like fuel starvation, but I'm not sure what it is. Try and sort it out. Sorry.
You can see the sweat and you can hear the frustration in his voice. This guy is hot in more ways than one, and understandably so. Greg Albertine of South Africa, his motorcycle has let him down. And this guy, number 2, Everts, has the opportunity to gain 27 points today in the World Championship. But right now, he's got his hands full because look who has arrived on the scene. It's the Pepsi Honda of Yves DeMaria. And I don't think DeMaria is the least bit concerned about Everts' World Championship hopes at this time.
No, he doesn't care. And he looks pretty strong right now, too. And the thing you got to remember is not only has Everts you know, riding with pain and all this, but he hasn't been able to train, so he's got to be a little bit tired. And looks like, oh, nice move. Boy, it looked like DeMaria was going to just try to roll right around the outside, and here's another look. Everts, he senses him on the outside. He starts into that berm, and he just rides right over the top of it out into the line, takes it away, almost takes him out.
Pretty good little collision. You see that after the impact, DeMaria got real sideways. Let's see how he might choose to retaliate. It's a Kawasaki versus Honda battle, and this DeMaria kid, with 2 wins in a row coming in, has a lot of motivation. He's up along the outside again and down the hill, and this time he makes the clean pass on Everts. I think Everts probably realized maybe he better not be messing with DeMaria right now. Here at Budds Creek, Maryland, final lap and a single question. Can Talon Boland withstand the late race assault of Yves DeMaria? I'm not going to put you on the spot, but Boland looks a little sloppy to me here, David.
Yeah, he does. He came out of that corner and he went up that straightaway just all out of control. And right here, he's drifting wide. He's off the line in the marbles there. You see that? And he's definitely, from the looks of that, feeling the pressure of DeMaria.
Is that fatigue, or might the suspension on his motorcycle have gotten a little tired on him here late in the race?
No, he just cased on that little uphill double to there, went wide. I mean, he's off his line, and he's obviously very nervous. I mean, he realizes he doesn't have far to go, but he's feeling a lot of pressure from DeMaria. DeMaria has nothing to lose.
Talon, I did my best to get you an excuse. Bailey says no way. DeMaria is just faster, and obviously with a couple of bike lengths to make up and the opportunity to pick up World Championship points, Boland is not in the hunt for the title, but DeMaria drives by on the inside, says see you later. He needs all the points he can collect, and that pass right there was worth 3 for the fast Frenchman, who by my arithmetic is in position to score his 3rd straight overall victory. I don't know if he's counting points at this point, but he definitely is on a roll and certainly didn't hesitate to go after Boland.
No, it was a nice move, very aggressive. You can see he's pretty pumped about it, and I mean, Boland really dropped off the pace after that.
The moto results show DeMaria the winner with Boland 2nd. Everts, powerful 3rd place run here today. DeWitt finishing 4th. There's the rest of your top 10. The big story, the failure to finish by the reigning world champion. Here is the pass that won the moto. Up the inside, Boland with no response. DeMaria wins it. Let's hear from him.
He gave it everything. He really wanted to win in the States, and you know, in Europe, it's really a big thing to win in the States, and he gave everything he got.
What was he thinking midway through the race when he knew he had the lead, but he had a little ways to go in this humidity?
Ça allait être difficile. En plus, j'avais plus de frein arrière. Je sais pas ce qu'il y a eu sur la moto.
It looked really bad because at the time his rear brake went away, and he was worried, but he just gave it all he could, and I hope it worked out.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Great moto.
Thanks.
Pepsi Honda team run 1-2 in the second moto. Roger DeCoster, the former world champion interpreter's got to be happy. And the overall, it's DeMaria over Everts. Everts makes the big gain in terms of the points. Let's hear from the second moto runner-up.
Talon, it was one of the best races we've seen in a long time as far as GP in the U.S.
Yeah, it was a good battle all the way to the end. I'm a little bit disappointed he got me, but it was a clean pass. He didn't hit me. I knew that line, but I was just a second too late, and he was already in there. So it's good for him, but I'm happy with both the Pepsi team did really good today. It's hard, you know, I'm a little bit disappointed. I'd really like to win my first 250 GP here today, but it's okay. I'm happy with the second. I got a lot of points, and I just got to look forward. I've given a lot of confidence. I know I'm a lot faster. Maybe in Venezuela, we got 3 more left. I can win one.
Good run today for the product of the Southern California Motocross Wars. Here's the big story. Everts trails Albertine by 8 points, leaving America. Albertine came here with a 30-point lead. DeMaria with the most to celebrate, 3 overall wins in a row. Final thoughts, David Bailey.
Oh, that's got to give him a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. It's just too bad he wasn't up there a little closer. I'm really impressed with Everts. Sometimes when you have an injury like that or you're sick and there's not a lot of expectation on your performance, you go out there and actually ride more relaxed and you surprise yourself.
Congratulations in order for both Everts, who closes in on a possible world championship, and DeMaria, who wins the overall today. For Art Ekman and David Bailey, I'm Dave Despain. Thanks for being here for the USGP.